Again, thank you all for agreeing to take part in this first debate, Wada Xaajood. Hopefully we'll be having a lot more debates. The first debate that we're going to have today, as you're all well aware, is why do Somalis who live overseas relate more to the country they're in instead of the motherland, and why are people hesitant of going back? My name is Amina Salah and I'm the host for today. I'm going to give it to Abdi Dahlaya that's going to introduce himself. Abdi?
horta waan wada salaamayaa asxaabta ku wada jirta live kan iyo insha Allah intayna daawan doonto magacaygu waa Cabdi Axmed Ismaaciil ku magac Cabdisalaan Dhaxlaaye oo waxaan degan yahay London marka barasho wanaagsan.
Hey, I'm just going next then. All right. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi everyone. Hi, my name is Khalid Osman, and I am currently in Hargeisa, Somaliland. I've been here for 2 years, and yeah, welcome to YouTube Live. This is fun fact. This is my first ever YouTube Live, even though I am a YouTuber. So thanks, Amina.
Bashir?
Yeah, hello, assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed Bashar. I'm from South Sudan at the moment. I can say I live in South Sudan. I'm an entrepreneur. I live in East Africa generally. I've been traveling a lot. Alhamdulillah, I got stuck in South Sudan because of the current pandemic thing. And yeah, I do business for living. But show accent, Somali soo dhawaada. Waa ku faraxsanahay caawinaa fast YouTube debate ka qayb galo oo ra'yigayga aan ku darsado iyo wixii tala iyo tusaale aan ku soo kordhin karo. Thank you.
Hi, assalamu alaikum. My name is Mohammed Abdul Qadir Mohammed. I'm from the UK but currently based in Dubai. Professionally, I'm a teacher. And I'm sure, like most of us here, this is my first YouTube live debate. Yeah, I'm excited and raring to go.
Assalamu alaikum to you all. My name is Mohammed Mahmoud. I'm the founder and author of Somali Sideways. And I was born and raised in the UK. I'm currently based in Nairobi. I've been in Nairobi since December 19. I've been doing a few consultancy work.
So we're going to go on to the opening arguments. You're all going to get 5 minutes each. Please keep to your time. You don't have to use all your 5 minutes. Again, the question is, the debate topic is, why do Somalis who live overseas relate more to the country they're in rather than the motherland? And why are people hesitant from going back home? We're going to start with Abdi Dahlaya.
Thank you all. هذا Neil waxa weeyaan anigu just by experience iyo dadkan maganaysaa marka wadankii tageen aan iga sheekeeyay the experience waxa badanka la kulmeen iyagoo they studied very hard in the Western countries, they got their degrees, and they went back home to find a job and plus help out build a country. And waxa had like 10 different situations la kulmeen in marka meeshii amba especially dawladaha kale marka noqoto marka u shaqo tageen amba interview u tageen lagu yiri la weydiiyey yaa tahay kale qolama tahay amba yaa tahay oo yaa ka mas'uul ah marka waxa weeyaan niyow dadkiina qofkiina markuu aanu cidna ka garan wadanka meesha u tagay in wadankiisa caawiyo dan la weydiiyo magarasa wuxuu yahay instead of what he can bring to the table. It's a bit disheartening moogta marka badanka experience-kan dad badan aan marka wareystay feedback isiin waa taa waxay leeyihiin niyo su-aashaabaan 100 jeer la kulannay nala weydiinayo maxay yaa tahay amba qolamaa tahay so marka especially de waxa kala kulmaana waxaan waa dowladaha shaqooyinka dowladaha hadday noqoto maxay the government offices hadday noqoto NGOs-ka marka waa dhibaato yaro aan insha allah inaka inagu xidhan dhalinyaro ahaan inan de waxa aan iska hadaan ka safeyn karno ka safeyno magaranaysaa waa is a mentality weeye xum weeye insha allah it's gonna take a lot of people to try to move away from that. That's it. I'll save inta kale amanay.
Okay, great. You used 2 minutes. Khalid?
I might have to steal that 2 minutes. I love to talk. Some of the reasons why like Somalis living overseas love overseas is basically being born there. They feel like it's home. That's where maybe either they've been born there, which is majority of people, depending on the age, of course, or they've lived there most of their life. You know, they left after the war or during the war and things like that. So they've lived there most of their life. That is some of the reason why they relate there. Like Abdul was saying, also, they built a lifestyle there, education, schooling, friends. So it's tough to leave that over there. Now, I haven't got much, to be honest with you, I haven't got much why people want to leave England. I have the easiest, it was too easy for me to leave England from Manchester. If you guys don't know, it was very easy. Bad weather, social life is bad. Like I can go on. So it was pretty easy for me to leave. Now, it's a long story. Obviously, I have 5 minutes, but you can check out my YouTube why I came to Somaliland. But the reason why I don't think people are coming here is they feel like maybe it's risky. They don't want to, you know, take that jump to come here. They like the lifestyle back in UK, the bowling, the cinema, maybe things like that. You know, it's not, and it's not easy here. It's not easy to live in Somaliland or like the motherland base. It's not that easy because there's a lot of, I think Abdi was mentioning tribalism. This country is not what you know, but it's who you know. So a lot of people coming here might not know people, you know, only their parents know people. So it's like, oh, I don't know anyone there. So that's why when people come here, normally it's only during the summer or winter. Also, I feel it's a bit, if you come here on your own, so I live by myself, so I moved here by myself. There's a lot of family pressure. Well, I don't have many family here. I only have like one auntie. But the thing is, a lot of family pressure, like there's a lot of people that want things from you, not just money, but there's a lot of people that want things from you. It's easier from when you guys are living abroad. And you know, diaspora send over millions. I think they're like the biggest influx of money is from the diaspora. So it's easy for you guys when you're living abroad, you don't have to pick up the phone. But I feel like living here, you know, family pressure, you know, asking you for things and all that, like extended family, not family as in brothers, sisters. I think that's it. That's the 5 minutes. Oh, it's probably less, but how many minutes was that?
You used 3 minutes and 50 seconds. We're on to Bashir.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, we can hear you, Bashir.
Great. I'm Bashar Bere. I've been living for the last 8 years in South Sudan, in and out. Last time I visited home was December last year with the gentlemen who do travel every country in the world when I was trying to show the beauty side of the country, Somalia, where I was born and left literally 1990. of course, you know, when you want to change your life, you look for opportunity. Of course, a lot of us left there because of insecurity or because of lack of opportunities. Marka, and really, everyone knows that your comfort zone, wax badan ma iska bedelaan noloshaada. You don't see a lot of opportunity in your comfort zone, so you have to leave and seek from better opportunities. And in Marcus, I left when I was 17. I came to Kenya 2008. Alhamdulillah, I made some. I never went to school in my life. Someone who never got opportunity to go to school. And then I settled in Kenya because Marolbo, Somalia, Danahay, everyone is like, wherever they feel safe, that's where they stay. Kenya and Tigay, and I start teaching myself English, you computer skills. Then I left Kenya 2012, South Sudan, Madi, to seek better opportunities. I always had a mind of, getting involved, entrepreneurship, your business. We Somalis all have background of trading and, business. Then when I came here, I set up my company and Madi. I didn't get the opportunity to go back home. 2015, I've seen a lot of beautiful things. What stops me to move back home, Hawaii, because of the insecurity or the risk and you lose a lot of people, because and then you feel like, is it worth it to go back and risk your life? And you already have a lot of responsibility and families rely on you and waiting you in the Utahay. We both know Somalia marka xoolo qof oo hela wax helo waxay dhahdaa nin tolkiisa 10 holaad ula matajiro because of the extent family we have. I'm sorry if my Somali is pretty heavy. Lakin haddana markaad fiiriso wadankiina ku noqoto waa ku qasbanahay because we're not expecting other people to come over somewhere else or change our lives or change our future. We're not expecting new people to come. Anaga is the youth of Somalia who's supposed to change the country. For example, I'm going to give you a small example. I traveled with some guys, I think you know them, Brubinsky. They were really shocked. They didn't believe Somalia have that beautiful beach, white sands, natural resources. Markay arkeen, they were literally like, it's really painful when someone give you that explanation and there's nothing you can do about it. At the same time, you have to look, okay, is every individual and every contribution matters. So the small you can do will change a lot. So I think we need to take that risk. We need to do whatever it takes to go back home and see to do something. Alhamdulillah, I established my office and representative in Hargeisa and in Hamar. For the last 3 years, I wanted to take a marolbo in like literally Mago and selling to move back home because of the risk I mentioned earlier and everybody was sharing. The reason why do we settle and have more connection or ties to the countries we live, Hawaii, because of you're part of the society, xogaha qabiilka iyo cunsurinimada ka jirto oo Soomaaliya oo markii lagu dhaho in adeerka iyo yaa ku yaqaanana meesha kale inay ku yartaa laga yaabo ama bit more reasonable. Marka cunsurinimada hadda I think the current week adduunku wuxuu ka hadlayaa waa cunsurinimo iyo racism iyo black lives matter iyo waxyaabo noocaas ah, laakiin waxaan isdhihi lahaa adduunka dadka ugu cunsurisan ilaahay hanaga dhibo dhibkaas hanaga qaada in annaga nahay oo aad ay xun tahay oo because of it's too deep waa wax dadkii qabyaaladii aad bay nagu fogaatay ilaahay dadka ka saaro waxaas waana jahli baa keenay dadka in
Shiri, you have 1 minute left, okay?
Okay, I know, I'm checking the time. Marka waxaan dhihi lahaa reasonka dadka u degan yihiin waxaa waaye because of they feel peace iyo wadanka inay la qabsadeen laakiin mar walbo dadka caqliga saaxiibka ah they have to remember the end of the day inay wadanka ku laabtaan wax ka bedelaan. Marka intaas ku soo koobaya. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bashir. Mohammed?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to start off with an address from a man called Lord Macaulay to the British Parliament in 1835, where he said, "I've traveled across the length and breadth of Africa. I've not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture, for if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. And I think this is so true with the diaspora, especially if we look at people that live predominantly, I would say, in North America, not so much in Europe, because one, the educational system and what the kids, the students get in the UK, in Europe, and North America is one that makes Europe and North America seem great. Literally give no precedent towards Africa. And I think that makes us tend to feel that our culture and our heritage is lower than that of the British Empire, the American society, and the Western society as a whole. More so, when I was talking, there was a gentleman that I was talking to once, and he has this clothing brand called Foreign Native, and which is a little plug for him as well. But one of the things that I asked him about was, what does his brand actually mean? And it was quite interesting because the point of his brand is, as Somalis in the Western society, we neither fit in to the Western society, nor do we really fit into where we've originally come from. And I think one of the massive parallels with and massive obstacles that we feel for why people relate more to, or I don't think it's more to the fact that why do we relate more to the home country? It's not that we relate more to the home country. I feel like we're very displaced.
Mohammed, we can't hear you properly. I think it's the movement of the laptop.
Oh, apologies. Sorry. So it's more to do with the fact that we feel very displaced as young people, and because of that, we don't actually really feel like we have a home. I know people who've gone back home and and enjoyed their time there. And as Khalid said, generally they go back in the summer, enjoy their time, and then they leave, and that's it. But do they feel like it's home? Do they feel like that's a place that they can call their own? And I think one of the issues is they don't have their roots there. They don't have their family there. They don't have, well, even if they have their family, they don't feel attached to them. That's one. But I think with regards to them relating more to their home country, that's also not true. Because one of the reasons why I personally moved from the UK is, again, I don't feel like that's my home. And I don't feel like, as much as my family and I feel like my
Mohammed, just to let you know, you've got 1 minute left, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. And even though I feel like my family and friends are all based there, I also feel like, honestly speaking, I don't really relate to either of those countries. So that's one of the issues that really I feel a lot of people think about where they actually relate more to. I don't think we relate to either. So that's my point there. I'll talk about the next point afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Mohammed Mahmoud.
Okay, in answering the first question, I feel as though there's like a lot of youngsters that I know personally that have been born and raised in UK, whether it's in Europe or whatever, and they've managed to go back home in whatever capacity. It could be in the development field, it could be them getting into the federal Somali government, or in any aspect. They go back home and they try to contribute to the society in the region. And one of the things that I feel that Somalis don't associate themselves with their country and their region is because they don't have foundation. When you're building a house, there has to be a foundation in order to be built. You can't build a house without a foundation. And this foundation for us is the language, Afkihoyo, it's the culture, it's the heritage, it's understanding about the history of the region, and all these things. And the reasons why Somalis are associated to where they live in more so than is definitely because of this. And at the same time as well, they feel as though if they were to integrate as much as they can to society, they will try to be like them. But in all essence, that cannot be the case, because look at not just your Somali Nimo, but your Islam Nimo, like your deen does not allow you to do certain things. And with the Somali region and its people, they follow certain aspects of that values. If you try to integrate with the like Adan people or any of these types of people, you know, at the same time, you cannot be like them because your values and their values cannot be aligned. So in essence, you cannot, like, for someone to say that they feel more related to where they live in, I question that, because how can you try and say just because you're born and raised there, like I myself, I'm born and raised in the UK and I'm currently in Nairobi, is because it wasn't necessarily the case of I didn't feel at home in London. It was more so that I wanted to know more about my region. I wanted to see these people, wanted to learn about how things work here, perhaps do things better than people have done before. And a lot of Somalis have done that and they've moved. I mean, when you look at the federal government at the moment, president is from the States and the prime minister is from Norway. So that tells you that the Somali diaspora are coming in to the region to try and make the region better. And this is the thing for them. It's like they've educated themselves from abroad. They've done, they've had quite a lot of experience in where they live in now, and they've gone back home. And the thing is, obviously, there's a flip side to it, because those that are from the diaspora, in a way, they are taking advantage because, you know, from locals' perspective, they don't have a lot of resources, and like in terms of background, it's not as heavy than the ones from the diaspora. So in essence, there needs to be a balance, but that's another argument. And yeah, that's me.
Great, thank you all. So what we're going to do is now we're going to go into the second. So we're not going to go in any particular order. If there's anything specific that someone else has said that you'd like to comment on, please come forward now. Go on, Abdi.
waxaan rabaa walaa inaan tixraaco maxamed wuxuu yiri magarata ninkii cadaaye that you were quoting in his book, and if I just go by a few things he's done after that, when he noticed that Somalis are very proud people and they're very cultured and they're down to earth, and he said we broke every single African countries, but Somalis are the most people that don't need nothing from us. So he went to every single region and he learned every single Qabil that lives in that region, and then they came back to Chatham House in London and they learned the every single tribe. This one's bigger than you. The amount of how many people basically. And they learned it to the T. So now, and I don't know, it was 30s or 40s when they went back there, and then they taught them, you're better than this, you're better than this. And obviously it worked because we're in that situation till now. I mean, aniga kafi and your langa batay, all that nonsense. So yeah, this was a game from they set a pace on Somalia from early. Marka waa laakiin de hopefully dhalinyaradu way ogaan doonaan in waxaan this game is rigged. So marka inshallah we should come back to the country and help out Marka, Amina, what was the second question?
So the second question was, what is stopping people from going back home? You got 30 seconds left. So if you want to, it'll come back to you again, but we just want to give other people the chance as well to comment
Yeah,
on
that's fine.
what anyone else has said.
I'll wait, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, go on, Khalid.
Unmuted, that's it. Yeah, to build on what Mohammed said, and it's something that I never really saw about foundation. Now, but to build a foundation, you have to start with you have to start. You can't just come here and the house is built kind of thing. So you have to make that move. Now, that's what whenever I talk on my YouTube or my Instagram live, I always mention that you guys have to come for a month to do your research. So that's kind of like building the foundation. It's not exactly the strongest foundation, but it's building it. But another, I like the way he did. He's in Kenya. Kenya is not far away. It's like you can throw a rock, and next door. So to get the region, to get the idea of East Africa, and that's another thing which because there's a guy called, I'm not sure if you guys know, Wada Xaajood or Mr. Ghana Baby. He's doing the dream. He's promoting Africa as a whole. And that's something that I wanted to do, but he's doing it. Now I concentrated more on Somaliland. So I like what Mohammed's doing anyway. You see, you can go to Kenya, get the feel of Africa, because Kenya is actually there's lots of Somalis there, Don't go South Africa, because that's basically Europe, mate. But yeah, go Kenya, get the vibes, move to Somaliland, Somalia or wherever, and then kind of like that, build that way. So good on you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Khalid. Yeah, Mohammed.
I just wanted to quickly just point something out as well. It's easier said than done. Specifically, I mean, I'm assuming that a lot of us are either in our late 20s or early 30s here, maybe a little bit older. But one of the things that I find is that specifically, and this was an address actually not targeted at Africans, but to the Ottoman Empire, which was an establishment called RAND that was set up, which was if we can't get you and we can't get your children, we'll get your children's children. And that's what you see with a lot of people, a lot of the younger generation now, whereby they see Somalia and Somaliland and Djibouti, they see that as a third world country. And that's the problem there. And again, I think a lot of it is to do with the education that we don't actually have, so that we don't give to the younger generation, and that conversation that does not happen, as much as even today in today's generation, we're talking about Black Lives Matter, and we're talking about equality and equity and justice in our Western society. But yet we forget that we actually have a society of our own, but we don't claim it as our own. And I think that's an issue that needs to be challenged and talked about.
Thank you, Mohammed. Bashir and Mohammed Mahmoud, do you guys want to say anything? One second, Bashir, you're muted. Unmute yourself. There you
go. The other thing I can handle how when it comes to when you're building community, you need everyone from that community. Of engineer noqdo, the other problem we have in back home, or either needed to be addressed, for example, when there's a business or a company, from top CEO to the cleaning. Markii Somalia, when you're back home, you don't get everyone. You have to import them from the other countries. The expats they kind of feel like I better stay home. Society train them. We have to get everyone. Can you hear me? unless we get everyone or human resource loo baahan yahay oo shaqo kasta qaban lahaa laga helo within that community wax development meesha kama imaan karo ama ma dhismi karo waddanka ama dadka ma dhismi karaan ama ummadda ma dhismi karto unless you get everyone oo shaqada kasta loo baahan yahay fit garanaya despite inay shaqo weyn tahay ama shaqo yar tahay marka waxaan dhihi lahaa taas muhiim bay noo tahay tan kale whenever you move to the other countries that people prioritize the other language or maybe the country language forgetting luqadaadi maanta when you go back home you can't even communicate with your grandpa or your grandmom marka muhiimadan waxay tahay in dadka ay saaraan inaa luqadaadi iyo asalkaadi iyo where you came from mar walba qofka niyada ku hayo waxaan dhihi lahaa marka in wax laga qabto arrinta ayada darteed qofka inuu priority u saaro sidii ummadda ayada loo dhisi lahaa from the ground like you can't have everybody to become the CEO or everybody to become the minister marka waa siduu sheegay Soomaalida that proud or isticel or help themselves because if you're doing in business you can understand the opportunity Somali marka tahay the easy trust wax walba si la isku aaminay la isku caawinay marka banaanka joogna aad aan soo jecelnahay but when back home things are pretty different dadkana waxay u baahan yihiin in training la siiyo oo laga soo bilaabo from the ground marka waxaan dhihi lahaa let us invest instead of inaan guryo ka dhisan ama hoteelo ka dhisan inaan community-ga invest gareeno oo train gareeno oo tusno waddan kasta oo hormaray they have every level of human resource marka human resource kan inaan dib ugu noqono dadka wax barno haddana la baro despite having different faiths and different opinion on things in nabadgelyo la wada noolaan karo oo mutual interest for that society ay noqoto inaan nabadgelyadeena ilaashano iyo interestka guud oo naga dhaxeeyo inuu waddankeena horumar gaaro oo adduunku waxaan kula dagaalano ama aan kugu faana aan yeelano arrinta kale waxaan ka hadli doonaa the next opportunity I see son thank you
Thank you, Bashir. Mohammed?
I just want to say one thing that people need to understand is with regard to looking at the younger generation. I'm talking about the ones that are within ours and the ones younger. For them, they know what they know about their when it comes to tribalism and clanism is very toxic because it's either the things they've been told by their parents or things that they've either seen or heard of. So it's like I remember before I left, there were a couple of kids in my neighborhood and they were like dissing each other with regards to tribe. So it's like, so if you're dark skin, then you must be from that tribe. If you're light skin, you must be from that tribe. If you have a family that is beautiful and stuff like that, you're from this. So it's become so toxic to an extent where if they were to be associated from their country back home, it's something that is not something that they should know about or something that is toxic. So I think what they need to be doing is they need to unlearn what they've learned because what they are learning at this present moment is very bad. And it's something that is going to be detrimental to the future. So what they need to do is they need to learn so that they learn the true beauty and the true history and culture and heritage of the Somali people.
Thank you, Mohammed. I just wanted to, and anyone can answer this question. I think that keeps on coming back, and you just mentioned it now, is education, and even Mohammed said it when you were reading that passage, it's our kids is what, or the younger generation is what they're learning, is what the information that's being fed to them is creating this perception of what our country is and what our people are about. What I want to ask any of you is, what do you think the solution to that should be, or what can we do about that to change the perception that the younger generation have? Go on, Mohammed.
I think when we talk about education, we need to look at other societies who do it quite well. And if I may, I want to talk about an old member of the British Empire, which is India, Pakistan. And I personally just want to just talk about how they, in the UK specifically, how they interact with their society. I think Khalid's probably got a point that he's going to throw in a second, but I feel like compared to a lot of other societies, it's not perfect, I agree. And there's a lot of issues that they have in themselves, but they do have a great pride and a great togetherness within Pakistan or within India itself. And they have communities that actually promote and share their history, and they come together, making sure that their children are raised to really understand where they come from. I'm talking about children that have never been and set foot in Pakistan or India or wherever they come from, or Bangladesh. And I think it's such an easy thing to say and do, but the only way that we will be able to educate our children and our future generations and ourselves is if we step up and start doing that first. And when you have organizations in the UK that actually, because we can't expect in the British curriculum that they're going to start talking about Somali history. Not right now. But what we can do is create a system or create a curriculum for our own selves, so that we actually understand where we come from. So that's my point. But again, easier said than done. The question I think which should follow on is, how exactly could we do this? How can we set up these communities?
You, Mohammed, you also said other communities tend to have this togetherness and a collective goal of making sure that even if their kids haven't stepped a foot in their country, they know everything about their culture and they bring them up in a certain way. What I want to ask you is, what do you think is stopping us from doing that? Do you think it has anything to do with Qabil by any chance? Because, tribalism has been mentioned throughout here. Do you feel like that might be one of the hurdles where people might be like, I'm not going to flock together with the Somalis that are in my community or live in my live nearby because we're not of the same clan or something? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
I mean, I think it's if we expand on this and push away from Qabilism, I think it's to do with pride. And I think the biggest issues that we as Somali people, and I'm sure I've heard it a few times, the other members of this debate say that actually we are prideful people. And even though it may be such a good thing, but it's also a massive obstacle for us, because we keep butting heads with each other. And if I'm not doing it, I'm not going to follow and do that with you. I don't want to see you thrive. So I think until we can, stop seeing beyond our own field of vision and actually see beyond that, and actually see that if we come together, we can achieve so much. But I think unlike I would say, and I keep going back to the Asian community, because they themselves may have that pride, but they put that aside just so that they can flourish. And I think that's what we need to do. Yeah.
So in essence, what I think are you saying basically, as Somalis, we find it difficult just supporting supporting a leader. If someone has a great idea, just supporting them. I'm going to ask someone else to comment. Let me come back to you because you were just before Mohammed. Yeah, either Khalid or Mohammed. Yeah, you spoke just before Mohammed.
All right.
Mohammed,
sorry, bro. Yeah, sorry, Abdi, bro. Sorry, man. Just a bit quicker, not the. But I think what Mohammed mentioned was togetherness, and with regards to the Somali community, I think what we're very, very good at is when there's a natural disaster that's taking place in the country, whether it's flooding, whether it's or any kind of natural disaster or any sort of issue, whether it's famine or anything like that. People are very swift to help. People are in the Somali community. They're very swift to help out what's going on in the region. And the thing, I mean, at the same time, that's really good, but I feel like it's not, because why is it that we are only helping or we are only together when the country is in a turmoil? Like, why is it that we only come together when there's so many like problems that are taking place and when it's too late? Like, I've noticed Somalis, they love to come in, the situation is there, when the situation is completely gone, and it's too late to help. I've noticed Somalis jump in at that point. And what we need to do is we need to take a step back and solve the issue before it becomes like a whole regional issue. And I think that's what we, as Somalis, that's what we need to do. And also, I don't know, like for those that like know about the UK and stuff, like there are so many organizations. I think I was doing research a couple of months ago. I think there's about like 400 Somali organizations in the UK or something like that, along those lines, that are registered anyway. I don't know about the ones that aren't registered, making the money or whatnot. I don't know about that. But those that are registered, they there's like 50 organizations, for example, that focus on FGM. Now, why would there need to be 50 organizations that focus on one particular issue? Why can't we Somalis create a unified sort of branch where an organization spearheads an issue that focuses on, for example, FGM? Why does there need to be so many organizations that do so? Like a lot of them do like similar things, and they've never worked with each other, and they've never like sat down. And I think until we start doing that, we as a people, we will start moving forward. I'm done.
No, you're right, Mohammed. In terms of the youth, yeah, I think it comes down to parenting, because no one is born racist, multi. No, if from young, all these realism and tribes, it's I think our generation is gone. But the problem, we need to try to save the younger generation from here onwards, because it's difficult. Like, I mean, when you see youngsters that haven't even been to Somalia, and then they're talking about tribes, and so you can straight away tell this is inbreeding from the household. Marka is something we have to all tackle together, and yeah, it's difficult. I mean, the next question was dadkii markii Ingiriisi amba de Europe amba Western country kusoo koreen waxa la qabsadeen maxay where everything is equal. You know, you go for wherever, apply for wherever, and then you always get it if the criteria the exam galaysaa waad helaysaa. Marka qofkii waxa uu qabsaday adana idoo wadankii tagay, then they'll get shock reality, because la weydiiyo certain personal questions.
Yeah, you mentioned before, it's I think someone else also mentioned it before, where it feels like in order to get a job back home, it's all about who you know and not you know, what you have or your experiences or your skills. Now, if this is the case, what would you suggest would be the solution to this, or what do you think we need to do in order to overcome that?
I think in terms of, obviously I can only talk about a region I'm from. So Somaliland, they use the tribe thing, but they use that as a form of a weapon. Or it's sad for me to say, but that's how it is. But we have to.
What I'm asking is I understand if people are using it, but what can we do in order to? So, for instance, if you look at the UK and other countries, we have, you know, employment laws. Yeah, Mahmoud?
The thing is, this is not just a Somali region issue. This is an African issue. It's like, you know, it's all about who you know. Like there are people back home that don't have no credentials. They're like taxi drivers, for example, in London, and then you see them end up having a senior position in the federal government. And like, you ask yourself the question, where's the transparency? Where's the accountability? Where's the people, like, you know, going through the due diligence? What's the right way to do things? And I feel, and it's not, thing is, this is not just the Somali region issue. This is like a whole African issue. Like times, for example, like people would be offering me jobs, for example, on finance, and I don't have a finance background. And I tell them I have a political science background. I don't have a finance background. They'll be like, it's Adi, it's Gadaf, like, so the world, like, come through, it's fine. And I'm thinking, like, I don't have the background. Why are you telling me to take part job? I don't even know where to start. And the problem with the Somali region is a lot of people are in positions that they should not be in. A lot of people are doing things that they have like a budget of millions of dollars and they don't even know what the first thing to do and how to go about things. And I think one of the reasons why the infrastructure in Somalia is going really, really slow, or really like things are not happening, is because of this. People are given money and they don't know what to do with it. And majority of the time, I hate to say this, the majority of the time they use this money to do their other activities by buying homes in Nairobi, buying homes in Uganda, buying homes in wherever it is in other places in Africa. And another thing that I've seen as well is I've heard Putin, he mentioned something that was really disheartening, which was not about the Somali region, but it was about Africa. They were like, why is it that the African people that are there send their kids to uni in America, they go to the health system, and if they're sick, go to Germany. These are the people that have money in Africa. Go to the region, they go to certain places in the West, basically, when it comes to education, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to even like putting in money. If you have millions of dollars, they decide to, for some reason, to go to Switzerland and save money there instead of saving it in their own country, because they feel that their money would be stolen. So there's so many underlying issues when it comes to like this corruption.
Mohammed, you said the word transparency early on, and I just want to ask you, how do you think we can achieve that back home? So if we had more transparency, you know, for instance, like here in the Western countries, we have, you know, people that do audits, we have external bodies that, you know, in order to get a certain verification or certified, sometimes companies need to be accredited. You know, in order to do something, you need to get accreditation, or that company will be, I can't find the right word, but what I'm trying to say is, do you think the solution would be in having external organizations that give accreditation to certain organizations or NGOs or businesses or whatever, that go in and do an audit trail on these businesses?
Yeah, the thing is, the thing that the people that are part of the corruption are people that are doing like such as NGOs or non-governmental organizations or wherever it is. They're part of the corruption because they have formulated agreements with the federal government in terms of funding, in terms of this and that, and you know, it goes through a whole chain. Like one thing that I've realized is there are people in the region that they basically they normalize their lying. I don't know how to like say it like differently. It's just for them, they blatantly lie to your face. Like one person will tell me they have a PhD, and I know for a fact they don't have a PhD. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what gives you the mindset to tell me, like, what's going through your head that tell me that you have something that you don't? And a lot of people that are in the region, they claim to have something, but they actually don't. And one thing with this transparency, for it to happen, is we need to be honest. We need to be honest with each other. We need to tell each other if we can't do a job, we need to admit to each other that we can't do it. Somalis, like Mohammed said, we're very prideful people. And when it comes to doing a task, people, if they know how to do it, they wouldn't be able to ask someone else for help. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to do it. Even though he knows that he can't do it, he'll still tell himself that he's going to do it. And that's the problem. Like, there are people that aren't like each other, like with regards to work, they're not coming together. If there's people that can't do a work, you know, things like that. And I've noticed that a lot in the region. And I feel like if we are honest with each other in the things that we're doing, if we're honest with each other with what we're going to do, with budgeting, what we're going to do with planning and all of that. If we're honest, a lot of it would be different by now.
Yeah, thank you, Mohammed. Just before I come back to you, Mohammed, I just want to give Khalid and Bashar a chance to talk. So first we'll go with Khalid and then to Bashar.
Yeah, so there's quite a few things here, of course, going off people. So just going to start with, like, Amina, you were saying why people don't have auditing here or check, you know, or like certificate, you know, things like that, is because if you have someone telling you you're not doing a good job, which Mohammed knows both, then you're not going to be making the money that will be building your houses in Uganda and things. So you, as a high person, will say like, no, you're not going to get this job because then you're going to tell me how to do this job. Let me just give you a quick example. Sorry, obviously African mosquitoes. What I was going to say is, yeah. So what was I? No, what was it? Mosquitoes? No, what was it? Oh yeah, Africa. So what was I saying about building? Oh yeah, let me give an example. I was giving an example. The example is, there were a group of youth that went out because, as you know, I'm the region of Somaliland. So as you know, the streets are not the cleanest. Garbage, dust, everything, rubbish, all over the place. So there was a group of youth who were trying to clean up the streets. But what happened is someone called on them, and to the Ministry of Cleaning or whatever, the person who's meant to keep the roads clean, he got police to come and threaten them to stop cleaning. You see what I mean? So because it's showing up the minister that he's not doing his job. Now we know a lot of ministers and governments are not doing their jobs, but we're not going to get into politics. But to go into something else that Mohammed said, money is a big problem. Now, he said he came from it from two ways. One, money, I think he was talking more like the billions and millions, not billions, millions going in. People don't know what to do with it. They build houses in Uganda. But I also see that's also a problem with the diaspora. I'm a diaspora myself, and I'm calling the diasporas out. Is where is most of the, again, the region that I'm living in, where is most of the money coming from? From the diasporas, from the Western world. So with them just sending money back home, you know, not knowing where it's going, not knowing who it's going, you know, just flooding money, millions, probably billions, you know, just flooding money into the country instead of putting it in the right direction, you know. So that was just a point, just going off Mohammed. It's something that Mohammed, there's only Mohammed Mahmoud, there's a lot of M's here. But proudness, but it's AKA stubbornness. Like, for example, now you go outside in Somaliland, in Hargeisa, I'm in Hargeisa, and there's no COVID-19 here, no lockdown, no, everyone's in the coffee shop, no one's listening, stubborn. Like they just believe either, oh, I'm more powerful or I'm not gonna get it, whatever kind of thing. Is a bit of stubbornness, like just not listening to government. So proud is definitely something Somalis are, but then it can go to the extent of where it's a bit stubborn on some things. Now, ways to work with the youth. Books. There's not many literacy. Let's just say literacy for kids. I'm talking about for kids. Even for adults, there's not that many. I don't read them. But anyway, so the kids needs a bit more books, a bit more things they can relate to that, you know. There is a couple of books out there, but they need more. Another big problem, which I'm struggling to find, by the way, if anyone's watching this live or if any of you know, is Somali classes. There's no one teaching their own language. Mohammed was M&A was like saying, it's important, our language is important. 100%, language is important to keep the culture, to keep the, you know, deen, whatever it is, it's to keep the country, yes. But no one's teaching Somali. You know, I'm sure there is, I'm one, I'll put my hands up, I'm one that doesn't speak Somali that well, okay? I speak Arabic and English, but I can't find any classes, no classes online, no apps, no books. The book that I have is done by a white man like 20 years ago, you know? Yeah, you know that book.
Let me ask you a quick question. So you said no one's teaching Somali. from my experience growing up in Sweden, first of all, we had to learn our mother tongue. So we actually got Somali classes in school, and you had to do that. And I'm certain that they're still doing it to this until today. But I also think, I just want to ask you, do you not think the responsibility lies with parents making sure that they teach their kids Somali from a young age? Because I feel like you're putting the responsibility slightly on people going out there and learning the language at an adult age when they can, you know, have learned it from a young age in that talking the language in the household.
Okay. Now, very, very valid point. First of all, shout out Sweden. There's a reason why there's a lot of Somalis in Sweden. But we're not going to go into that. But that's one reason. You see, well, because there's a lot of Somalis there, so of course the language is going to be stronger than to the UK boys out there. But another, you were saying, don't you think it's the parents' fault because the kids should be learning it? No, I think it's not really, because at the end of the day, the parents speak to them a language. I'm saying you're living in a Western country. You live in a Western country. The parents are speaking them in Somali, beautiful. But as soon as they step out of the house, they can't be speaking Somali. Like, they're going to be chilling, depending which country. You're going to be chilling with other countries, Arabs, English, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis. Shout out to Muhammad that loves the Asians. So they're not going to keep practicing it. So it's not going to be up to standard. And as soon as you step into the motherland, into wherever, Somalia, as soon as you step into motherland, you get made fun of, because the standard of Somali is not the same. So that's why I need even kids classes, even adult classes, to get the correct, where you come here, your boss, you know. That's from classes, just to answer. I got last one. There was two, but I'm going to make this one fast. Cancel tribalism is such a big problem. Everyone knows that. But the biggest thing as well is we need more role models. We have quite a few role models, but then the role models are not showing, like, and that's why one reason, not like tooting my own horn or anything, but why I started YouTube was because there is no one showing the motherland, you know? Now I know where Bashar is from Jubrinsky. That's my story, bro. So there's no one showing the mother. We have white people, Drew Binsky. I've shown Nick Indigo Traveler, Jessica, the first Black woman to travel around the world, geography now, you know, because there's no Somalis doing it. No Somalis are willing to come here and show their own bloody country, you know? So that's a big problem. If no one's willing to do that, sacrifice time, I've sacrificed a lot of money coming here, doing what I'm doing, to show the country, you know, no one's going to do it. So that's why we need to role models, and we need to show our own country instead of showing London and whatever.
Thank you, Khalid. We're going to go on to Bashar. Bashar, I wanted to ask you a question. You said earlier on that you showed an Adan friend the country, and they said something along the lines of, you live in heaven, but you also live in poverty. You said it in Somali. And you also said people shouldn't expect other people to come back to the country to fix it for them, that we need to do it ourselves. Why do you think people are so laid back and waiting for other people to fix our country instead of taking the initiative to go back home and fix it for themselves?
I'll start with Somali mama. Somali waxay dhahdaa arajir inta aad orgiba u weyn, means qof walbo his surroundings is where he learned things from, and you know that's what motivates you, and people you live with, people you stay with them, that's the people you learn everything in life. So I think I'll come back to your question, but if I go back, how do we get solution for the tribalism, iyo shaqo la'aanta waddanka jirto, iyo insecurity-ga dhallinyaradan haysa? How do we get a solution for it? If I go back to that question, I think dhibkan haysta wuxuu yahay, we need to find a way of creating jobs for the youth, because of the reason why they're doing all this qabyala, the reason why they're doing this insecurity and extremism or whatever is because of they have plenty of time in their lives. They have literally nothing to do in their lives. They just listening to the BBC, creating politics, which is not really helping them, and believing deep, you know, down, he's better than anyone else. But you know, when people travel and see the world, okay, I've been to 40 countries plus. But the one thing I learned from that, how people, humans are good. Majority of the human are good. Marka, when you live outside the border of Somalia, waxa ogaanaysa waxay tahay your qabyaalad, your language, your culture won't help you. What will help you is how to communicate with the other community you're living with, how to, you know, akhlaaq fiican kula noolaato, how to, you know, communicate with them. In a luqadaadi waxaad you've been very proud for the last 20 years plus you've been living home is useless to you. Is okay, you don't have to forget about your background, where you came from, but still you have to know that how do you live with other people is mutual respect, despite having these different faiths, your dhaqan iyo wax walbo, you have to respect them and live with them in peace. Waxaan ka dhaxaysa waa nabadgelyada iyo interest. Number one, taas hadaan halkaas uga baxo. Midda labaad waxay tahay oon dhibkan haysto. Somali haddaan nahay, we kind of like selfish. Qof walba wuxuu ku mashquulaa oo waqti badan geliyaa how to build himself. Like, we're not kind of like united society. When wax markii la sameynayo, waxaan rabnaa in la fiiriyo, what is the social corporate responsibility of everyone, whether you are entrepreneur, whether you are individual, I'm a professional. Waxaa la rabaa in la fiiriyo, what are you doing for your community? What are you giving back? Because of adduunka ma sii noolaanaysa, everybody has a limited time to live. Okay, familigaada iyo your close relative in a house is something qasab kuga ah because of diinta iyo dhaqankeena, but you have to see what can you do for your community. Okay, you cannot, if you have money, you cannot reach everyone with your money, but you can reach everyone with your voice. Anigoo kale, when my story came out, a lot of people reached me out, a lot of people inspire a lot of people because I built, and I am where I am without having formal education, without having formal support or anyone else. Of course, where I am, I reach where I am because of qof walbo oo nolosheeda soo maray. I create opportunity to make a good relationship with them, to give them reason for them to trust me. My qabil never contribute anything to my life. Example, I've been to 40 countries. None of my qabil have ever helped me. They never helped me. So when you know that your qabil is just because ma ahan inay noloshaada ka bedesho. Markaad kaas ogaato, reality-ga aragto, markaas baa ogaanaysaa inay tahay qof walbo you have to respect everyone with their faith, with their culture. And if you don't have, if you cannot understand the same thing or cannot follow you, I have to say, okay, I'm not going to follow you and I'm not going to agree with you on this, but at least I'll respect you and I'll live peace with you. Taas in la ogolaado waa qasab. For example, going back to my trip to those guys, markay dhahaan, you guys are dying in heaven. Wallahi, there was one thing aad ii xanuunjiyey. The first thing airport markaan ka degnay, we saw a very beautiful photo oo Hormuud Telecom isticmaalaysay oo ku deganad airportka. That's a lighthouse photo. Marka lighthouse photo meesha ku aragto, we took photos. Qof walbo oo cadaan ha ahaado ama Soomaali ha ahaado, xamar markaad tagto, we have to ask yourself, where do I visit? For example, you have a day to visit all Hamar ama meel walbo rabto inaad tagto. Lighthouse waa meelaha sida marka laga soo qaaday London oo kale, waa meelaha caanka oo kale oo qof walba uu rabo inuu ogaado, oo waa the logo of the city where everyone wants to visit and see how it look like. So qof walbo markaan ka hadlay social corporate responsibility, everybody failed that, including the multi-billion companies who are in the country oo la rabo inay sameeyaan arintayada. Markii we live there, hotel Kenya tagnay, everybody say, okay, I want to go to a lighthouse, because that's when you put Google, that's the first thing you see. So the photo Hormuud has at the airport, welcome to Somalia, and the reality on the ground, on especially the lighthouse, is completely different thing. It doesn't exist. Meel dhimatay oo wasakha oo qashinka buuxa oo rafasan weeyaan. Marka, you don't expect another community inay meesha imaadaan wax kaga bedelaan. You have to, the companies meesha degan, dawladii hoose, everybody have to take responsibility. Oo magaalada meelaha caanka ay ku tahay oo taariikhda leh way dhinteen. Marka ummadeena ummad u dhisan ma ahan inay mutual interest ka fiiriso ama danta guud ee naga dhaxayso. Everybody is busy his own interest, how to build his own empire. Qof walbana eventually wuxuu dhimanayaa asagoona meel ka gaarin, and he will be eventually part of that community he live with or the country he live with. Marka waxaan dhihi lahaa mar walbo, literally lacagta diaspora they send back home waxa waaye waa $1 billion. $1 billion haddii lacagta inta la heshiiyo, trust fund la hagaajiyo, waddanka dadka wax lagu qabto, job creation la sameeyo, dhalinyarada la mashquuliyo, then everybody will be busy on himself. Yesu wax ku qabsan lahaa.
Bashir, yeah, just 1 second, Mohammed. I'm sure you guys have all heard of this saying. It's a famous saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. Now, what you've all touched on a bit is, everyone's sending maybe money to their direct family and everyone's doing a bit of here and there, but the missing link is doing something collectively that has an impactful, you know, change. The things that we're doing, it's either moving one family really quickly forward, but are they, you know, sustaining it? It's not moving our community and our people collectively forward towards that one goal that we want. So I just want to directly ask you, where do we start? How do we do this? How do we do something collectively?
Okay, everybody, you know, every community have a people they respect, people who have a history in life. You know, some people who build themselves from zero from ground to up. Okay, we need to select some people, or every community and we need to create some kind of organization which is kind of giving back and creating jobs for our youth back home. You know, everything started the trust. Everyone I work with, where I am today, with my company or the business I run, literally none of them is Somali. We don't even share anything, not even faith. But the mutual interest, how we trust each other, despite having contracts, there's no paperwork can stop you if you want to steal someone's money. Marka, ina anaga is amino because we have a lot of lack of trust. Me is amino, why hasnima jirto deep down, why is he winning? Marka, if you're not happy about your brother who is winning, if he's not going to help you, he's helping someone else back home, or he's helping his own family. Marka, you have to look.
Sorry to interrupt. You just said it now, hasnimo, and also I found it interesting that you said when someone else is winning, or
exactly.
Do you think this comes from
maybe? They won't motivate you.
Do you think this comes from the competitive side? I feel like we sometimes have the bad thing is
competitiveness.
A lot of other people. Sorry?
Yeah, I'll give you a small example. When I was starting the business, I have a lot of companies who are doing the same thing I'm doing, like Habashi, Hindi, you name it. When I was starting, I literally see them like they are my enemies. But eventually, the market, there's enough bread for everyone. So working together with those companies who are still my competitors, and we're fighting for the same business or same contracts. Literally now, all of them are my friends. And I tell them, you know what? The whole thing is nothing personal. The organization we supply in the business, or whoever we do in the business, they don't care who do the job. Eventually, they care who delivered. So why don't we work together? You buy from me what I have, I buy for you what you have, and eventually we keep winning. We compete for the same thing. You good luck. If I know, it's starting when I was starting, you know, self-education because I've never been to school. I was working in a cyber cafe. The cyber cafe, there was a guy who I really respect him a lot right now. He's a Kenyan guy. When I was working the cyber cafe, he was engineer. He was the one who is fixing computers and everything. Every day he go back home having like $50 or I'm a $50 plus. And I don't know how to do anything. So, and literally whenever I ask him everything, competition he makes sure that I don't learn nothing. And from the beginning, I kind of feel like this guy is like my enemy, but I knew this guy through the hard time he's given me. I had to do whatever it takes to learn whatever he knows so that I can compete with him. So we need the competition, but our Somali community, the problem we have, we don't know competition. We know we work together or we don't work together. Okay. We have a lack of competitions.
Okay, thank you, Bashir, for that perspective. Mohammed, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thank you. I think one of the things I kept hearing is two things. One, the second point, I think Mohammed Mahmoud actually hit the nail on the head. But I think you failed to actually start measuring into the point of what is stopping us from moving back home. Talked about corruption and the fact that there's a lack of quality assurance and stuff. But isn't that the reason why a lot of Somalis just feel like they don't want to go back home, because they're like, that place is corrupt and I can't go back there because of the way it is. But then on the other hand, you know, such massive and great ideas I'm hearing out there, but what I'm failing to understand is the practicality idea of it. Can we really, like, what can we do to actually make change? We can't walk into, first and foremost, the Somali political system is the most confusing system. I personally still don't understand it. I don't know if anybody here understands it very well, but it's one of the most confusing systems. I tried, but it's a very, very interesting system. So I don't think any of us can just walk in there and be like, guys, this is what we need to do. That's not going to happen. What change can we actually make? What change can we make? And props to Khalid and Mohammed with the production of Somali Sideways. Honestly speaking, it's things like this which I feel make Somalis actually really proud from where they come from. But what other changes can we make? What changes can I make as an educator, as a teacher? What can I make? As a businessman, Bashar, what can you do? And as individuals from wherever we're from in the diaspora, what actual concrete changes can we make? And not changes that honestly are, just for me, seems to be dreams that won't be accomplished tomorrow. I personally want to understand, what can we do tomorrow? And more specifically, what can we do so that our children don't lose their culture? Because that's, I think, the fear that many Somalis have, specifically, and I'm going to say specifically in North America, because the North Americans that I know, and compared to the Europeans, the North Americans are so detached from the Somali culture. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how detached they are. Honestly, some of them relate more to the African Americans and the American society and the Canadian society than they do to where they've come from. So the question is, what can we do to reverse, re-educate, and help these people relearn where they've come from? I think that's what we need to hit the nail on, and not these massive changes, because by the time we change the system and we've got the quality assurance and everything set up, we've lost a whole generation.
I just want to defend. I got cousins in USA, so I got to defend my people in the. But that's all I want to say is they live far away. It's like $1,000 to $1,200, whatever, something crazy, to come fly to even Africa or to Somaliland. So that's what I'm saying. So we got to think like that. But I totally agree with you. They're totally more African American, and their Dakhan is kind of. But Canadians have lost it.
عبد الدحلة
waxa weeyaan niyow haddaan marka Soomaaliya haddaan lagu soo noqdo niyow if I had my way waxa odayaal joogida meel isku ururno qol baan soo wada xidhi lahayn then dhalinyarada oo dhan marka la oranayo wixii wax soo barto bal niyow bal meesha aan kelin garano because waxa dhacay niyow some of the politicians, I don't know if you know, but since 1960s we ay soo taagan yihiin. Yeah, well, kole waad aragteen maxay Sudan iyo Libya Somali badan ma ku maratay de. These are people that done universities, they got degrees. When they went to try to get a job, lagu yiri safe. Waxba kuma helo. And it's because of tahriib. I'm sure you've seen a lot of YouTube videos talking about tahriib and all the madness, heartbreaking. Waxa dadkeena ku dhaca. Marka anigu horta odayaasha waan ka soo horjeedaa boqolkiiba boqol. Marka Bashiiro program mas bilaabana si aan odayaasha oo dhan jeel ku wada xidhno ana wadankeena ugu soo noqono. Waan ka baxay.
Does anyone else want to answer the question that Mohammed asked, which was a really good question, which is, what can we as the youth do to combat these challenges? Yeah, go on.
If I respond to that, can I?
Go on, Bashir.
Haddaan arrintaas ka jawaabo, waxaan dhihi lahaa, okay, in a simple example, when companies, when you, like, for example, you're a manufacturer, you are required to have something called ISO. The reason why they give you they're required to ask you ISO certification is for you to have independent company to supervision what you're doing if you're compromising the quality. know if we want to get solutions in Somalia with everything we're dealing with, we need to have external hand or maybe third party to get involved, and everybody to get selection based on their qualification, not based on who they are and where they come from. Until we get that, or based on their qualification, the education background, your quality of the human resource code, there's no solution coming out. Until we're using the Qabil system and the story of like, all we all we need to do is now to pray for them. Until we get Deen to Somali markaan nahay waan naqaanaa, like we don't really use si sax uma isticmaalno. Diinta waxayna faraysaa qof walba shaqada in lagu siiyo based on xaqa si ugu leeyahay. Xaqa si ugu leeyahay waa, what experience do you have? Are you a doctor? Qof adoo doctor, are you going to be the financial director? Marka until we get that solution and until we...
Bashir, just a quick one. That's a very valid answer. But what I want to ask you is, because Mohammed's question was very specific, what can we specifically do now? Changing, like making sure that people get the people that who get the jobs are, you know, qualified and are the right people. That's a valid one. But realistically, can we push that forward in the current climate, and can we achieve that? So what I want to maybe see if any of you can suggest is a more achievable, maybe.
Okay, I won't take long. I'll try to respond to that question.
Yeah,
he said everybody's busy with himself and trying to support his family and his. Yeah. Everybody's busy with his own interests, your responsibilities. Like after, what can you do? What can you give back to the community? For example, I'm an entrepreneur. I teach everything myself. I start a lesson of entrepreneurship in the borough of Somali or every month at least 2 to 3 times, and life so giving them a very talking about my journey, how it started and how I reached where I am today. So every contribution you're giving through social media, and we need to take advantage of the platform we have, internet, we need to see how can we give back to the community, because we cannot reach all of them with our penny. We can reach them with our voice. We don't need to give up because of what is happening. We need to keep trying until we see the real change. So everybody, what can you contribute? You need to find a way of teaching people your language, that cultures, everything you know, through the platform. So I believe everybody who experience contribution giving back to the community.
Thank you, Bashir. Thank you for that answer. Mohammed Mahmoud? Yeah, we'll come on to you next, Khalid, after Mohammed Mahmoud.
By the way, Bashir, I saw your, before I start the argument, I saw your live with Mohammed Omar, the motivation speaker from Somaliland. I saw it. It was good, man. MashaAllah. I knew about you before this. But with regards to answering Mohammed's question, I think there's a misconception with regards to the Somali diaspora, which is have this misconception of in order for them to contribute, they have to go back home. And that's not necessarily the case. Like, for example, where I was living in Acton, London, there's a prison called Wormwood Scrubs. And unfortunately, a lot of Somalis have been going on there in the prison. A lot of Somalis have been going into Feltham. And the thing that I've realized is there aren't enough organizations that help these young people. And the thing that I've seen is there are people that do programs. I'm not saying no one does nothing. I've seen people that do programs. I've seen people that do like a month program, 2-month program in mentoring these kids and what. But I haven't seen any organizations that solely focuses on these kids. And for someone who wants to help, they would think that, okay, in order for me to help my people, I have to go back home. I have to go to a village in Gabile or something like that. And that's not necessarily the case. You know, the Prophet peace be upon him said, charity starts at home. So where you live and the people that are around your neighborhood, the Somalis that are there, you help them first. And with regards to Somalis trying to contribute, they need to change this mindset of trying to go back home. Yeah, go back home like I did, or in some aspects, you know, between Somalia and Kenya. But there are people who have this guilty conscience, which is all they do is they send money, you know. And in a way, to be honest, is a contribution. Like if you think about it, you know, if so many people have contributed giving money back home, like what Bashir said, it comes to almost 1 billion or 2 billion, you know, US dollars. So in terms of contribution, like people can do so many things, you know. And not everyone can do the same. People, like, you know, in all honesty, they want to be able to help, but they can only do a small amount. Like, for example, saving money. That could be their only contribution. Others, they would want to go back home, start a medical clinic or something like that in a village where healthcare is pretty much close to zero. That's a big contribution. So there are many aspects where people contribute, but I want people to know, like, there's this misconception that in order for them to help, they need to go back home, and that is necessarily not the case.
Thank you, Mohammed. Khalid?
Yeah. So this is a very good question, very tough question. I was having an argument with a local guy, but let me just argue Mahmoud. Not argue, debate. But I'm not saying you're wrong. Of course, there's many ways you can support the people. Money, but putting it in the right place, coming back, building like a medical center, things like that. But I think this is not just a Somali thing or a whatever Kenyan. It's an African thing. I think it's a whole to make Africa better. Okay, let's look at it as the bigger picture. To make Africa better, the people need to come back to make it better, because the people here are struggling. Now let's bring it smaller, not the whole of Africa, because I can't talk about the whole of Africa, but now let's talk about where I live in Somaliland. We all know billions come into here. Now you can look at that both ways. That could be not corrupting, what's the word, collapsing, or there's a word, but like causing, like a cause of a problem. Because like I walk around in Hargeisa and I'm like, how do these people have money to chew qat? Qat is now it's expensive, but it's like, it used to be $3. The cheapest was $3. These guys chew every day for roba, okay? And I'm just like, and then how do you have clothes on your back, you know? And then, you know, like, so it's the money. It's, I hate to say it, but either two things. Either the diaspora need to send their money to the right places and not just to their family, and then their family just spends it on whatever they want, or like into a trust fund. I don't know who said that. I think that was Abdi, or was it Bashar? Like a fund kind of thing that's run by a diaspora organization, like something big, not just like one person. Or I'm sorry, Mohammed Mahmoud, is come back here. Take the jump, take the leap, come back here. Alhamdulillah, we are blessed to have a passport. You know, we can come back here and just be like, oh, you know what? Like, that's what I'm doing. Exactly what I'm doing. Like, I took the leap. I came here. I hardly speak Somali. Alhamdulillah, I've achieved quite a lot over here. And I've set a goal until I'm 30. Try my best. I took the leap. I jumped here. I've helped a lot. Alhamdulillah. So there's those two ways. Obviously, I took the just jump in. So those are the ways. Yeah. Come back and help, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Take the leap and come back and physically help. Either medical center, YouTuber, IT teacher, whatever. You know, just come back and help, and not just come back and help with your money. Buying art and driving around and stuff, and renting houses and then having parties. And then, yeah. Anyway, we won't get into that. I'm exposing too many diasporas.
Thank you, Khalid. Does anyone else want to answer that question? Go on, Mohammed.
That was, I mean, I some of the things I heard there, okay, those were interesting points, and I think they are very valid points as well. But you have to understand that we have a bigger systemic issue, which is we are about to lose a whole generation of young Somali people who live in Europe, who live in North America, who live in Australia, who no longer see themselves as Somali, who do not relate to Somalia. And yes, the issue is one that requires education. But for us, I think what Khalid is trying to say and what Mohammed is doing is something that really will take a little bit longer to establish. For example, me as a teacher, if I was to come to Somalia, knowing that, speaking to friends of mine, teaching in Somalia, the system that is in place is one that requires a complete turnover. So again, it's not something that will be achieved overnight or really achieved in a year or two. It will take time. And yes, it is something really that needs to be done. And I agree that, with what Khalid is saying, that is something that can be done. However, I think the bigger issue is if we focus all our energy, and I think that, I think there needs to be a split, because there's things that at the end of the day, to tell people completely, let's just make the leap, go move, that's not gonna, some people are not gonna do that. It's not gonna happen, let's be honest with each other, yeah? But what can, but the people that are in the situations that they are in, what can you do, yeah? And I think one thing that we can do, again, is education. One thing that you can do is building a network, because one of the things that I feel, especially in the UK, is that, nepotism is a real thing, and it's about who you know, even in the UK and in America. And whether it is a Chinese society or an Asian society, whatever it is, people put each other on. Somalis don't do that, okay? Once they reach a position, that's it. Khalas, there's no communication to try to uplift their own society. And that's the thing when we talk about role models. Young Somali children don't have role models, but we have barristers, we have teachers in senior positions, we've got doctors, we've got authors, people that they can actually look up to and be proud that I am Somali, but other than the fact that right now, especially in the whole music scene, that it's popular to be Somali. Apart from that, having a lyric thrown out there saying, Wariya or whatever, or Wallahi. Other than that, what is it that really makes young Somali children be proud to want to learn their language, want to really go back home and visit back home, and actually step up and make something of themselves? My father once told me the biggest way that I can affect change is to be the best that I can be, so that I can show other people that Somali people can be great. And that's one thing that we can do as individuals, number one. But number two, the question I think, and I threw out two examples, but the question I think is still unanswered, is what can we do to help to make sure that we don't lose a generation? What can we do? And I've been racking my mind, and I think all ideas are great, but I feel like because I worked in you talked about Wormwood Scrubs in East Acton. I actually worked in the school opposite it called Phoenix High School, which had a large population of Somali children there, and it's those children, it's children like that I grew up with, that I taught, that really didn't, when they saw a Somali teacher, they looked at that and really was proud to have somebody like that there, and they would try to speak to you in Somali, just because you have that, or want to know about where they're from, or want to know about where you're from, and they're interested and they're proud, my teacher is Somali, and they have something to look up to. But The question I have, and the question I want to ask is, other than that, and on the wider scale, what can we do beyond setting up these networks, beyond educating our youth? What else can we do?
One thing I just want, yeah, we'll come to you, Mohammed. I just wanted to add a comment to that. One thing I wanted to add is, yeah, like you said, there are a lot of people out there, Somalis, doing amazing things, but unfortunately, they're not as seen as they should be by the younger generation. For instance, last year I took part of a Somali careers fairs that were taking place in North London, that was organized by the Rice Project. I don't know if you've heard of them, in North London. But I also know there's been, I forgot her name now, but she's an amazing female doctor, and she's gone around and done a lot of Somali fairs, you know, across different countries. So I think things are happening out there, but they're not, we've got to get our youth to watch it. We've got to get our youth to go to these events. Like when I went to this event, it was unfortunate there wasn't that many young people there. And the young people that were there were the parents that dragged them there to the event. Do you know what I mean? So we also need parents to be more, I personally feel, taking responsibility and like pulling their kids by the ear, whatever it takes, and taking them to these events, you know, telling them about the Dakan and taking them to these places. I just want to come back to talk about the Rice Project in North London. I feel like this is a great example of you can do something for your community where you don't necessarily have to be back home. Setting up small communities, spaces, safe spaces for whether it's young boys or young girls to come and just, you know, learn more about the language, be talking in Somali to other young people where it's like you're not getting judged if your Somali is not correct or if you're not pronouncing it correct or whatever. Just having those kind of spaces, I personally believe, it starts off with something small like that, and something big can come from that. Mohammed?
Yeah, just in answering what Mohammed said with regards to what we do, I feel like this is something that is people don't really mention, and it's the media. I've seen a lot of Somali, for example, Hadda, with regards to the creative art, and it's been a huge surge over the last like 2-3 years. I've seen a lot of Somalis that are into film. I've seen a lot of Somalis that are into photography. I've seen a lot of Somalis. I mean, there were Somali poets, but I feel like there are more now than ever with regards to spoken word poetry. And with these sort of talents, they use their talent into showcasing, like, in showcasing the positive side of the worldview of the Somali region. And unfortunately, like if I go up to an Adan person and I ask him, what's the first thing you think of with regards to the Somali region, most of the time negative. And when you go to a Somali young kid, most of the time they'll say Van Ellis, most of the time they'll say like little hearts and things that are like negative connotations. And I feel like in order for that to happen, the media is important because a lot of people now are into social media. A lot of people have all these apps, and I've seen a lot of people online that, for example, there's this brother called Mukhtar Noor who's based in Garowe. The sister Ikram, she lives in Basar, and those two are like pretty much like the spearheads with regards to showcasing the beautiful side of how people should view the Somali. And of course Khalid as well. Khalid, he showcases it in Somaliland, and there's a lot of like people that do so many things I've seen online. And I feel like now, in terms of like social media, those that are in the Somali region, they're so tech savvy, it's ridiculous. Like there are people who are so active, and when you ask them like what you do and stuff, they're like, oh, I'm just someone who shares a lot, stuff like that. And when you check their accounts, they have a huge following, you know, and they're so humble about it. And I've seen so many Somalis that are like that. They're so active online. They showcase whatever it is, whether it's film, whether it's photography, spoken word, even when it comes to literature. Like I had now a lot of Somalis publishing books, you know, and that's the thing that I feel very proud of, because when I showcased the first one in 2018, weren't many Somali youngsters that were publishing their work online and offline. So one thing I've realized is there's been a huge surge of people writing, and it makes me proud, because in order for you to learn, it's through literature. That's one of the key components of trying to understand your people, trying to understand where you're from, because, you know, like with regards to the Somali region, we see so many people, Adam people writing about our country, and they put it in a particular lens. I don't know if you guys noticed, but they showcase a particular lens where it's like they want you to see how they view it. And when you read the book, you feel like, you know what, I don't want to finish the book because they showcase it in their own view. And at the end of the day, they're white. They, as much as they can go to Somalia, as you know, as much as they can, there's only so much they can be related to. And that's something that I would say that people can practically change is the mind, you know, because the mind is a powerful thing. You know, as much as you can build houses, institutions and think tanks and all these sort of NGOs and whatnot, but if the mind is messed up, then all these things will just another waste. So I feel like if people were to read more, learn more, even the things that they've learned before, if they were to unlearn it and learn something new, then a lot of things would be different. And yeah, I can't highlight this enough. Like I'm really, really proud of what I'm seeing online. Wallahi, like it's just like it's so amazing. Every time I see it online, wallahi, it puts a smile on my face, mashallah.
Thank you, Mohammed.
That's it, I'm done.
Absalan.
Mohammed said, what can we do about in terms of with the youth and getting them on board with going back to their country? I think, Mohammed, the main thing is, especially in the UK where there's the majority of Somalis in the Western countries are, I think because I remember when I was younger in here we had communities, and I think that's gone out. It went out the window a long time ago. So the youth, that's what they're missing. I remember we used to go to communities, and we used to learn everything about Somalia and all the good things, and we don't get that no more in here. So I think workshops along them lines we should try see if we can get that back in the UK. Yeah, and the other thing is, Mohammed was talking about the social media influences. Man like Khalid obviously is doing his thing in back home. Big up to Khalid. Is I've noticed that the mainstream media in the country don't highlight all the good things about the country. I don't know why. They will report all the negative stuff. Obviously, 100% negative sells. Yeah, but they'll report all the negative stuff and the bad and the politician doing some madness. But the country is beautiful. If you go from coast to coast, yeah, the country is different. Obviously, Bishal was telling us that he took an Englishman there, and the guy was mesmerized. So I think it's empowering our people. I think they've gone through so much with negativity, the war, and then the tribes, and then he's better than you or she's better than you, and all that stuff. So I think from the generation in a win, I think they're lost cause anyway, because obviously they're set in their ways. You can't change that mind. It's the youth I think we need to tap into and try and get them early doors, so we can try at least if you can at least grab 15%. And just save them and get them in the right place. And obviously, in terms of politicians, and we should lobby them the hell out of them, and be fair into your recruitment. And that word is wrong, but the UK and people that can't speak much Somali, they call them say wallahi kids. I mean, which is I mean, that's like is wrong. So we're just trying to empower the youth. That's what I'm saying, because what are we gonna be without our youth? I mean, that's what we're here for. Like with my I got 3 little ones, so with them I'll teach them everything about Somalia, because I don't teach them about tribes and that, no chance. But I'll teach them all the good things, and we're from a good country, and we're only here temporary, and also, and hopefully, I mean, they'll grow up to be upstanding citizens, inshallah.
Abdi, let me just ask you a quick question. You said the older generation is stuck in their ways, and you said we should just. Do you feel like we should just leave them to that and focus on the younger generation? But if so, if they're stuck in their ways, we can kind of expect that they're not going to give us, you know, the positions that we need in order to do the big changes that we want to do. So it then comes back to the question that Mohammed said, which is, what can we specifically do, however small it is, to have a long-lasting impact?
I think we should target it, because I said, I mean, by what I mean by they're set in their ways. Like when you talk to them, like they'll always say, oh, I'm a like one reerka kama noqoto oo odayga waan la daba fadhiisto amba caaqilka waan la daba fadhiisto, and I mean, you can't do nothing unless he approves, which is backwards. Marka I think we should let him be, and obviously
I'm not trying to agree with the structure that we have back home, because I don't, like Mohammed, I don't understand that for the life of me. I've tried to understand that. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
but at the same time, do you not think we have some kind of bias where we feel like we want to implement the structure that we've grown up with here in this country back home? It's almost having that complexity, that idea of like, we have the solution, we're the hero, we're going to go over there, we're going to implement all these things that we know, and they're going to work for them. Maybe what we need to do is understand how this functions and maybe suggest improvements or how to change it, because I think people are more reluctant, or people are more willing to maybe change few things if, how do I put it, so first of all, if we understand the system properly, maybe we can suggest small changes, because, you know, we still got to respect that that system has existed in that country for however many years, and it's worked for them to some type of extent, but I don't think it's fair for us to think that we can just come in and like, okay, maybe it's not fully worked.
No, I'm gonna, you know what? Yeah, don't give credit though. Like example, I'm from Somaliland. So 30 years they were independent, and nothing moved. I mean, so obviously, Alhamdulillah,
But maybe it's not the system. Maybe it's the people. Don't like it. It can be both. It can be one. It can go on. Sorry.
It's marka I don't know, man. Is a lot of horta waayeelka insha Allah waana horta u duceyn ilaahay ha soo hadeeyo. Marka maxaa dhalinyaradna horta and other things Mohammed was saying about social media. I've noticed lately, like it works on elderly people. When you lobby them, when they see a lot of pressure from the social media, they tend to move a little bit, or come. You can sway them a little bit. So I think in social media put a lot of pressure on them in the media, because the normal standard Somali media won't. They work for the government, so they won't budge for no one. I mean, they get funded from them. So if they sway from the line, they'll get defunded, and that's it. They're over. So it's going to be social media and everything on us to just lobby them. That's it. Lobby them, and then eventually, hopefully, bit by bit, they'll change.
Thank you, Abdulsalam. So your suggestion is, you know, lobby them, social media, and
100%, yeah,
pressure, and ud'a.
Yeah.
Thank you. Who wants to go next? So these are just like the closing remarks. So we're finishing up soon. So you all get a chance. Who wants to go next? Go on, Mohammed.
Okay then.
Oh, sorry, Khalid. You can go next.
Let Khalid go if you want. You can go.
No, you go, bro. No, you go first.
Okay. All right. I think, you know, for example, Mohammed mentioned nepotism. Obviously, these sort of things are so deeply rooted that it cannot be flipped overnight. But with regards to nepotism, for example, if, for example, I'm just giving an example, my uncle has a senior position in federal government, wherever it may be, and they're looking for someone like me, for example. And if he would ask me about the job, I would take it, because number one, I'm relatable to the work, my credentials fit exactly to the role that I'm being assigned to. So with regards to nepotism in that aspect, I'm okay with it. Like, to be honest, I'm not okay with it, like fully, but with regards to what's going on now, I would rather go for that than for someone who, like Bishop, who has a finance background, and they're doing something completely different, for example. And yeah, that's something that I don't agree with. Yeah, that's it. And also, I've noticed as well, I was reading a bit of things with regards to the education system in Somalia. And this is very, very worrying. I don't know if you guys know about it, but one thing I've noticed is the school system in like secondary school system. There's one like curriculum that someone follows in a particular area. For example, it could be Afgoye, for example, school Afgoye. The kids there are doing a specific system. But if you go to a school in Bulupurte or something like that, it's a completely different system. And then you go to another region, a completely different system. So every school has a different curriculum. And then I was thinking, how is that possible? Like, one country has one people, one language, one culture, and all of that. Every school has a different system. So then that's when I realized, and I did my own research, I've realized majority of these schools are privately owned. Now, when these schools are privately owned, the person that runs the school does his own thing. So if he thinks a system that he feels that is fitting for his school, he will take that, or she will take that. That person will not have an agreement with another school to have the same curriculum. With regards to like public schools, everyone has the same curriculum, but majority of the schools are in Somalia or in the region is privately owned. And I think that's where the problem starts. If we were to have a national curriculum where every school in the region follows a specific thing and everyone goes through that system, then of course things would be a lot different, you know? Like, and the thing is that I've met some kids that have gone to school and they would say to themselves, I'm going to get into the school and I'll get this certificate. But when they get the certificate and they go into university, some universities won't take certificate. And then you ask yourself the question, why is this person not accepting my certificate? I went through high school, I did, all the courses, I got a certificate, I applied for this university, but they say no to me because I haven't got the curriculum that they're looking for. So that's the issue with regards to the education system. There needs to be a national curriculum where everyone follows.
Let me ask you this. I'm not sure if you know, with the private schools, before they open up, do they not need to get something from the government in order to fully function, or can they just open up and say we're a school?
Well, the thing is, the whole argument with regards to land ownership, that's another Zoom session. But one thing that I've seen is for them, they don't with regards to government, they go to a specific land, and when money is put on the table, especially for those that are living in Rebadio, they start like looking like shocked, like so much cash, they're living in Fakri like Nemo, they're obviously going to get like lag, if they see like a lot of cash on the table. So these people, they do these sly deals, they build a school, and then obviously like the government they don't even need to get permission from the government for them to have this school. Like some of them, they just go there, buy the land, and then they just build wherever they want. That's what's going on in the region. People are just like, like buying land, and they can do whatever the hell they want with it. There's no planning permission from the central government. They probably don't even know that they're building a school up until later on. They're like, oh, there's a school there? I didn't know that. It's like, I remember I was talking to someone that works at the World Bank. There was a Somali guy. He works at a senior position at the World Bank in Somalia. And I was having a little discussion with him. And he said to me, I was talking to him about like the system of the schools, and he said like, I didn't know that there was a school in that region. I'm thinking, your whole job, your whole aspect of your role is to know about how many kids are in each school, how many schools are there, what system that they're following. That is your job. And you're telling me you didn't even know that there was a primary school or a secondary school in that region. But yeah, anyways, I've had a lot of frustrating moments, but yeah.
Yeah. So what it sounds like, it's basically that the processes that are in place are not working, by the sounds of it.
At the moment, no. I feel like everyone should follow a specific system. And the problem with the Somali region.
But the thing is, even if people should follow a specific system, if the government don't even know that a school exists, how are they meant to implement that? How are they meant to go in?
There you go.
We even have.
There you go. The certain structure and hierarchy that's required.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, for someone they would know that that's the hierarchy. But if you go to the Somali region, that hierarchy doesn't just create hierarchy. It's like they jump from 0 to 100. Like if they're building a foundation, they go to the roof, all the way to the roof. They forget about what's in the middle. They just go to the roof, and that's the problem.
But maybe what? Okay, fair enough. But maybe what the issue is people not understanding, or they're not being clear and clear-cut policies and procedures of how to do something if people want to do it and what steps they need to follow. So getting, building permission. I don't know if people need to get that, or getting permission to open up a school, having a body. And I forgot what are they called? The ones that go into schools here in this country. Offset, for instance, having something similar to
offset. Yeah. In like examining board. Yeah.
I think it comes down to what someone said it earlier, the foundation, making sure that our foundation is solid, making sure that we have the right policies and procedures from the start, making sure that people are accountable to them and are implementing them. But yeah, thank you, Mohammed Mahmoud. We have Khalid and Mohammed left, and then we're going to finish up.
But the problem is the 0 to 100, because the middle is even messed up. You were saying there should be like a board and things like that, but there isn't going to be one, because if there's a board, I repeat this again, if there's a board, then that means that top guy is not getting the money, the pocket, even if it's a little change, the offset, whatever this company is going to take away from him, even though he's doing his job well, but then the money is not going directly to him. It will have to maybe go offset if offset is corrupt, and then whole system's corrupt. But anyway, Abdi saved me from going ham. He's safe in the UK. I'm here, can just get locked up anytime. But just going off Abdi, about government and thing, totally agree with you, bro. But I'm just gonna leave it there. I was gonna say harder words, but and now I have it all written here. And then Mohammed Mahmoud even mentioned about schooling and money making. That's what it is, unfortunately. Schooling, I'm talking about, again, Hargeisa, where I am, I don't know other, is a money making. Like, not every single school, but like, I swear to you, every time there's a new school that pops up, ABC Nursery, Bright Side, Star, like how many, they just pop up. It's like, how can people afford the education? That's what I want to know, like this. And these are, anyway, that was one. I don't want to take too long. The next is about the youth, to answer the question. To answer the question, the short way for Mohammed, the short way is tackle the top. That's the shortest way. Get rid of the top and rebuild everything, and then that's the shortest way. But unfortunately, to build greatness, it takes time. Greatness is a marathon, not a sprint. Somaliland is a developing country, mashallah. So many beautiful places, so many beautiful things, Unfortunately, too many restaurants, too many cafes. If you're a diaspora, don't open another one. But it's beautiful, there's so many developments. 3-4 story buildings. Another one, don't open up hotels, okay? And yeah, so many developments, really amazing. But schooling is a money thing. Let's, like Mohammed Mahmoud said, let's build the system. Let's get a really good system. Another thing is what I realize here is what we can capitalize on. And unfortunately, I can't, because I don't speak Somali. Getting the youth who live here is really tough. But everyone here, every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a camera. Mashallah, before even I had the guys have Canon 80D, Canon 70D, Nikon, you know, they all have cameras here. They all think they're photographers. But mashallah, you know, everyone has a camera because like Muhammad, everyone's going into the digital phase with a camera. Unfortunately, companies are not going to the digital phase. They're very slow. But you know, if I had like a partner I could work with, or if people, Somali, you know, Chunks, for example, he's a big example, but he's not exactly doing this, like representing Somaliland. He represents himself as Somaliland, but not to the youth. You know what I mean? No content, a little content is about Somaliland. Yeah, he says, I'm Somalilander, Bur'o, you know, rapping and stuff, but there needs to be actual content that people can relate. And I'm not big as Chunks, but you know, inshallah, one day, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Peace.
Thank you, Khalid. Mohammed.
So as I start first with part of an ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I split you into nations and tribes so that we may know one another. The fact that we have our own qabil and we know where we're from isn't the problem. The problem is when we think that we are better than somebody else because of where they're from. Nobody chose their qabil. Nobody chose the color of their skin. And for somebody to be judged and be treated in a particular way because of where they are from and because due to a choice that they didn't make is in itself inherently wrong. And I think this discussion here fits perfectly with what's been happening worldwide with the whole hashtag Black Lives Matter, and the fact that we need to be proud, regardless of the fact that we did not have this choice, but we need to be proud where we're from. We are Somali, we are African, we are Black, and we need to be proud of what we're from. And what we need to do is I think the easiest thing that we can do is encourage each other, educate ourselves, and not make fun. And one of the things I find is, when you go about and you hear somebody who, can't speak Somali very well, and then you hear that person trying to speak Somali, and then the person who can speak Somali hears them speaking Somali, they start making fun out of them. Do you think that's going to encourage them to try again next time? No, it's not. At the end of the day, the only way that we will actually achieve something and actually become a nation, a people that people can look at and be completely proud of and never ashamed is once we start encouraging each other. And I think that's where we all should start. That's the easiest thing to do. I think it was a hadith where it was, if you see something wrong, change it by your hand. If you can't, change it by your words. And if you can't, hate it in your heart. And I think the easiest thing that we can do is verbally encourage each other. Maybe we can't physically do something. Maybe there's a reason. Everybody's got their own reasons and own situations, and I don't think people should be judged with their own situation. But what we can do is verbally encourage each other, whether we are able to speak Somali very well, whether we are very well educated, or or whether we are in positions of power. Let's make those changes where we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. I have to admit, I've been one of those people to make fun of other people because of their Somali. But that's not to say my Somali is not the greatest. But I think it's also something that I have to admit to it, but you pick it up because, when you speak Somali at home, you say something wrong, someone makes fun of you and you grow up with that. So then when you're with your friends and you catch them say something wrong, and it's like you've catched them, you kind of point it out. So it's definitely a bad trait that we just need to stomp out. But yeah, this has been a great debate, great first debate. Thank you all for coming and taking part. And inshallah, we'll have many more of these. From what you all said, the main things that kept on coming up was, educating ourselves, putting ourselves in positions of power, or influencing people that are in power. From what Abdessalam said, lobbying people, putting pressure on people. Bashir also said, being more visible on social media, like Khalid is doing. Like he said, go and like and share his page. Just all of this, and hopefully also creating just communities where people are can come together. By the sounds of it, I don't know who was having but shining a light on, North America, maybe creating communities there where they can come together and discuss the Somali culture, but also in the UK, in Sweden, everywhere. So yeah, is there anything else that you guys want to say before we finish this off? Abdessalam?
يا ما walaal aamina horta waxaan rabaa inaan adiga walaal kuu mahadcelino waad mahadsantahay maxaday si aad noo si fiican noogu soo dhaweysay and you set up this imkana dee inama badan oo fiican was baranay barasho wanaagsan insha Allah we can do all our work together and fix this great but very challenging country of ours insha Allah marka aamina adna waad mahadsantahay walaalo insha Allah onwards and upwards.
Yeah, inshallah. Thank you for that, Abdessalam. And I'm glad that we've all gotten to know each other. And hopefully we'll meet more panelists and get to know more people. And maybe it'll be the start of what you said before, Mohammed, like a network of like-minded people. Hopefully from this, maybe we can create a network where we together put something together and we, decide on something or support people back home or do something. Who knows? We'll see what the future has to hold. Khalid?
Yeah. Before I go to the thank you, there is, by the way, places you can go. This is not a promotion. They aren't paying me for this. It's not sponsored. But basically, there's in London, you're in Kenya, you're in Dubai. There's all of them in all these places. SPN, Somali Professional Network Middle East, Somali Professional Network London, and Somali Professional Network Kenya. So it's or SPN basically. I got invited to go to Australia to give a talk there. I've been with them for like 3 years. Like they have 3,000 plus, and like you see, I named them 3 countries, but they have Malaysia, they have like other countries, but no one's here from there. But check them out, Facebook. Their Instagram actually is Somali PN. Run by yours truly, digital marketer. I forgot to introduce myself properly in the beginning. But also I wanted to say is thank you very much, Amina. It's amazing putting this thing together. And this is how it should be, I'm tired of like the Somali events, all the thank you and the praising and everything's like in the beginning, it's like 1 hour and then the topic starts, But no, amazing work. And I think they definitely, because video is the future, guys. You have audio and video, books. Sorry, Mahmoud, probably you don't want, but maybe you can do an audio book. But like it's video and audio is the future. So you guys definitely need to keep this up, especially live. Live is definitely. So normal videos, the videos I'm doing is not, it's okay, but live, keep going, Amina. Well done. Had Sened, shukran, merci, danke,
Thank you, Khalid. Also, just before I forget, please send me the social media for the SPN group and we'll share them in the little comment section so people can go and check them out as well, inshallah. I think that's it. We're going to say goodbye. And again, thank you for giving us 2 hours of your Saturday evening. Take care. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Barsha next and all of you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.